Mortal Kombat 1995, Paul W.S. Anderson's second movie, right before Event Horizon, and 4 million Resident Evil, starring martial arts star Robin Shou as Liu Kang, Kari Hiroyuki Takawa as Shang Tsung, Bridget Wilson as Sonya, and Christopher Lambert as Raiden. It was the first successful video game adaptation after the bizarre Super Mario Brothers, the lackluster Double Dragon, and the Street Fighter movie that featured little to no street fighting. I'm Matt. This is the other Matt.
Hey.
What's happening in this movie?
Oh, that's very basic. Mortal Kombat. Earth realm, not Earth. The realm, the entire realm of Earth is under attack by ancient sorcerers and warriors from a place known as Outworld. In order to defend Earth, 3 heroic warriors, Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade, must travel on a boat to a mysterious island and participate in bloody, deadly, mortal combat. And that's about the whole movie. Matt, you want to start with just the plot, the script, the acting, all of that, because like you said, this movie is kind of the first successful video game adaptation, but it was very much a product of the 90s, so you do have that 90s cheese, and I thought it establishes the characters very well off the rip, but then maybe kind of towards the middle falls off. What did you think of just the overall story of Mortal Kombat, how it was displayed here?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. It is very 90s with the electronica dance score, which apparently they had to fight to get that score in there. With those,
so eclectic, the music.
Yeah, well, and they were rejected by 2 different record labels at the time. Back then they were the people you had to go to get your soundtrack done. They ended up going to some like no-name record label to do it, and it ended up being huge because like that theme song was so popular. And
everyone knows the Mortal Kombat theme song now.
Yeah, and it fit the movie so well. To me, it felt like a cheesy 80s action movie with like 90s kind of gloss and weirdness over it. Like the nightclub that Sonya goes to, kind of all the sets. It was super campy.
It gave me deep Batman Forever, or Batman and Robin vibes at some points.
But,
and I know that's
but done a lot better.
Yeah, correct. And I guess that's the big thing I want. That it's interesting about this movie is a lot of people give it crap for being like, a terrible video game movie and stuff. But all things considered, for the first 20 to 30 minutes, while it is campy and it's cheesy, they do a really good job kind of sticking to what the characters are in the game. You have Liu Kang, who is just a very, very talented fighter. In the movie, he kind of leaves his home and travels to the U.S. and then comes back after his brother is killed. That's all kind of manufactured for the movie, but they still get the core of Liu Kang as the hero very, very well done. You have Sonya. She's like this very fierce, independent soldier chick. She really
Sonya is going through this 1990s like vampire club, and she's
beating everyone's ass.
She's beating everybody up. She's trying to get to Kano, and there's just people dancing, and she's going through, and they're making these sound effects with her and a gun, and she's just like, bam! Get the fuck out of my way!
Jesus Christ!
And then the first villain that kind of shows up with a gun, she guns that guy down.
Oh, she shoots him dead in his tracks, which is, I think it's good because it shows like Sonya ain't gonna take no shit.
Yeah.
Immediately from the first thing,
until
the first scene,
she's literally a damsel in distress in a crazy dress.
Which we'll get to here in a second, but it kind of establishes those core things. Sonya's hardcore. She's a soldier. She hangs out with Jack. She hates Kano. Cool, we're done. You get Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage is kind of this goofy Hollywood action star who feels like people don't respect him enough. And they they
have it literally on a newspaper that his agent is showing him, or his friend, his old master. Sorry.
And so each of these 3 characters, they have their own reasons that they want to go to this tournament that they hear of. Liu Kang wants to do it to get revenge on for his brother's death.
I like that story point a lot. And that's the first thing you see in the movie is Liu Kang's brother dying, and then that's the ending resolving point.
And then you got Johnny Cage just wants to prove he's a good martial artist, and Sonya wants to track down Kano. So it kind of gets everyone onto the ship and going to Shang Tsung the Sorcerer's Island for Mortal Kombat pretty well, despite the kind of 90s stuff that's going on. I guess the problems I have with the movie kind of start to blend into the action stuff. Like you said, Matt, about halfway through, they kind of just go, all right, fight scenes. And the story falls to the wayside. And then towards the third half of the movie, they're kind of like, and now Sonya Blade is a damsel in distress.
Yeah.
You got Sub-Zero and Scorpion who have been reduced to these very small parts. They're killed off very quickly. Spoilers, by the way, for this 25-year-old movie. It's whatever. So while it does have a good kind of application of the source material at the beginning, it kind of just goes the way of like 90s whatever action towards the end, which I think gets it the bad rap.
Yeah.
But as a story, like there wasn't a lot to work with Mortal Kombat 1. You know, by 1995, there wasn't a ton of canon you could go and look to. So for all they had working with, it was pretty good.
But you know what? I think that they should have went way simpler, because setting it up as Liu Kang feels like guilt for his brother's death and Shang Tsung killed him, and he carries that with him. And then in the end, Shang Tsung morphs into his brother and tells him, like, it was you. Why'd you let me die? And Liu Kang has this moment of, like, every man chooses his own fate. And I'm getting chills just thinking about that, even though it's
very
so
human
cheesy.
Story.
But and that is killer. But where it fails is that Paul W.S. Anderson, as we've seen in Resident Evil, he just loves things that look cool, and he doesn't really care what's happening. So then there's all these sort of, like, when Shang Tsung has Liu Kang down in the final fight, he, first off, it's one of those things where, like, he could easily just kill him because Liu Kang's kind of down, and he just dramatically walks around and you're like, all right, this is kind of stupid. Then Liu Kang gets up and all of a sudden just decides, now I'm going to beat you. There's like zero story in the actual choreography or fight. If they would have just trimmed out all the other crap and focused on, made that the whole thing of the fight between them, because those are both good martial artists, the Liu Kang actor and Shang Tsung actor. They were great. If you just would have built it all around the brother thing, dealing with the guilt, and then finished off there, I think would have been great. There was just a bit too much kind of crap around it. And like, also, like you said, it feels like they just kind of added in some scenes, and all of a sudden Sonya's in a dress. She's in the nether realm. She gets saved by her friends, just kind of all of a sudden they're next to her and they're in the hoods and they're like, we're here. And then Katana tells them.
That's where the script falls apart, is because it goes from this kind of very, you know, the beginning is it's a story, and then it very quickly becomes one-liners and random fights. And I'm glad you brought up the fight scenes and the different talent of the cast here, because I feel like that's kind of where Mortal Kombat really starts. You have this midsection where all of a sudden people start fighting. They kick off the tournament, and you got Liu Kang fighting some different combatants. It's in the actual tournament setting. There's people watching. And then for no reason, you got Johnny Cage walking through these really deep woods, which it looks cool, but Scorpion's there and he's fighting. They're just fighting for no reason. They transport Scorpion, obviously can go to the Nether realm, which is like hell. He pulls Johnny Cage to this portal. They fight in the Nether realm, and then Johnny Cage kills Sub-Zero in this hell world. And then they never show how he gets out until later. He just reappears.
That's because they added that after, like the Scorpion fight, the reptile fight. They finished the movie. They showed it to their focus groups, and the people said it's great, but we want more actual fights. And so that's when they started introducing the wire work. That's why in the reptile fight he goes backwards and is doing, which was to North American audiences that was pretty new. Until like the Matrix came and did all of it. So that's why all that stuff feels, some of the fights have like completely different tones. They added it in later.
You can feel the early fights, not to like cast or disparage any specific people in the cast, but Sonya didn't do a great job, or all of her fights were just edited really choppy. You know, as soon as someone punches, it's a cut. As soon as someone moves, it's a cut. Versus Johnny Cage and Scorpion, you're getting 4 or 5 hits before they're cutting. And that last fight with Shang Tsung and Liu Kang, you're getting... But it's almost like they just started saying, screw the story. Let's just do fights for fight reasons. You know, a scene after Sub-Zero versus Johnny Cage, Liu Kang's like hanging out in the courtyard or whatever, and here's Sub-Zero. And Sub-Zero comes down. He fights Sub-Zero. It's a big finishing move. And then like a scene later, Liu Kang is super worried about Prince Goro, who is this big 4-armed guy. And he's like, how will we ever defeat them? And I'm like, well, you literally just killed an ice-wielding super ninja, which none of you knew existed before, an hour ago.
Yeah, they're not very surprised by it.
Yeah, Johnny Cage has a few lines of like, well, this guy can shoot lightning, Lord Raiden, which, by the way, Lord Raiden is played by, oh my God, who's the actor's name?
Christopher Lambert.
Highlander herself. They really screwed the pooch on this one. You know, maybe at the time it was all right, but Raiden as a character is an Asian lord of the thunder and lightning, and he's very
serious character.
Yeah, and then you get Lambert, who's like, I'm talking like Batman, and I have long flowing hair, and I'm very white, and it's just like
and a lot of jokes.
Yeah, it felt like that Marvel comedy, but like, early 90s, and everything kind of became a joke. And I feel like that's when the movie started to take a turn into the, hey, now we got Sonya as a damsel because we need to wrap the movie up. And so now they've floofed her hair and put some makeup on her, and they got her in chains like Princess Leia. And just as soon as they have reached that, she's like, my friends will save me. And then, like you said, a few monks beside her lower their hoods. Oh, it's her friends. And they're like, we're already here.
Yeah.
And you can call
They edited
this
out
stuff,
all the good parts.
exactly, from a mile away. And while I enjoy Mortal Kombat as a movie, I think it really needed some help in the script department. And, the relic of those really bad CGI moments, like Reptile. Reptile's looks like
shockingly bad. He's bright and colorful. He looks like Gex has just appeared in this movie.
That's exactly what I said to my buddy. It looks like if you took Gex out of an N64, like Gex 3, and just slapped him right into the movie. They try to hide it by using his invisibility power, which is something he has.
That worked pretty well, yeah.
But even when you compare it to the actual, it's very impressive, the set design they have. A lot of practical
set design's
sets.
Great.
Especially when they're getting into the island for the first time. It's all very like dark and brooding, and you feel like this is an actual place that these actors are in. Even though it looks a little goofy, it's better than the blatant CGI. I think they kind of get away from that. It's only in a few spots here and there. Like Goro is a weird mixture.
I liked Goro. I mean, Goro was he was like a very he cost about $1 million. It was there was a guy who played the alien in Alien 3, worked on him. And there's like 12 different guys manipulating eyebrows and mouth movements and stuff. And he's like quite a feat. I really thought they did pretty well with him, and I thought he held up pretty well. I thought because it's a real thing that's on camera. I love practical effects. That's
the big thing for me, is just the juxtaposition against these very well designed sets with a lot of imagination. Your really shitty CGI Reptile against like a decently practical Goro.
Some random matte paintings.
Yeah, and then you have like different elements of special effects. They'll have a lot of green screen effects where they'll walk outside of this giant spire they're on, and it's like, oh god, this is obviously green screen. And,
or sort of the random sets that feel like you said, Batman and Robin, Joel Schumacher, where like when they're on the boat traveling there, and there's just these like top down shots and purple lighting and crazy
super
fog everywhere
and neon.
And it's like,
and you're like,
is this like the play of Mortal Kombat?
Well, I guess the thing for me is wrapping around past the special effects, past the fights, just the accuracy to the source material. It had been a few years since I'd seen it, and especially I'm anticipating that this new Mortal Kombat movie coming out soon will kind of dig deeper into this established canon we had over the past few decades. But for the kind of stuff they had, which was just what they showed in the arcade movies or the arcade games, they did a decent job with the story of the movie. You could just feel at a certain point, like you said, audience wanted more action. Well, we gotta do action and fights over the story. It kind of started to get muddy.
But you don't need story. Okay, for me, when I see a movie like this based on this game, just go Bloodsport Kickboxer. Like the Van Damme movies. It's a tournament. You go to it. You fight a lot of people. I'm avenging my brother. There's a side character. That's all you need. I thought like anytime they started going on so much about Emperor Shao Kahn and like all these souls,
the sequel bait,
and like when Shang Tsung says, "Oh, he's using the power of the souls," and literal people, the fighters start jumping out of the ground like they're Michael Jackson backup dancers popping up on stage. It was like, and then Liu Kang just kind of dispatches of them so quickly. It's like,
it's all contrived. Yeah, that scene specifically, it's like 6 people hop up. One's a samurai. One's like this big, like 8 foot tall dude. They all have like different styles of fighting, and Liu Kang just does like a single punch to one each. And they're like, this is why Liu Kang is so powerful, because he can kill one guy with a kick to the chest. And I think it also was held back by the PG-13 rating. But then again,
it was for kids though. What are you going to do? Right?
Exactly.
But they worked hard at that. That's why, because people do die in this. Like Sonya breaks the neck of Kano, but they don't really make it seem like he's dead. Although he says to her, "Give me a break," and she goes, "Sure," and then cracks his neck.
Snaps, and there goes the script. A Sub-Zero dies by fatality. Johnny Cage fatalities him.
Yep.
Did I say Scorpion or both Sub-Zero and Scorpion die? Reptile dies.
Scorpion has his head chopped off.
Yeah.
Which is actually pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty gory, but they kind of get around that if he's a skull and it's all fake. Guy. Goro kills a guy by just sort of bopping him in the head.
Which was, I feel
like he's knocking out a fish.
Yeah, that whole thing felt like super anticlimactic, and also that character felt contrived. There was a very small segment before they get on the ship where Johnny is talking to the character that Goro eventually kills, and he's like, "Hey, you're a good MMA guy. You're gonna fight." And then later Goro kills him, and there's all like this very contrived, like, oh no, you bopped him on the head, sock 'em, bock 'em robots. And then now we're supposed to be afraid of Goro. Meanwhile, as I said earlier, Liu Kang is 1v1ing the Ice Ninja with no problem, using water to kill him. And now he's like, but the four-armed man.
And Katana won't give him the answer. She has to, has to be delivered in a riddle.
riddles.
Use the element of life. Oh, you know what I liked about the Goro killing that guy is when Goro bops him, Sonya goes, she's freaking out because he's dead. And then Johnny Cage is watching, and then Shang Tsung's like, now your soul is mine. And when he does that, then Johnny Cage is like, no, not his soul.
I was worried just about his spiritual aspect.
Yeah. So I thought, like, is Johnny Cage hardcore Christian? He's like, well, if you die, you go to... No, his soul, he needs that to get into heaven.
Him and Liu Kang had deep discussions about being a monk and finding your center energy. I'm bullshitting. All of this was just something they threw at the camera. For all of these problems, I feel like we're
shitting on it a lot, but I think overall,
but it's fun. It's an hour and 40 minutes.
It was fun. It's a bit flabby. Like, I would love to go through and kind of like chop out some of the extra story bits, but they were really up against it. Nobody wanted to make a video game movie. Nobody wanted to make it. Like, even the guys who, like Ed Boon and John Tobias, I think, they didn't believe they could make this happen. I think, like, the big wig at the studio came up to whoever got this greenlit and yelled at them for an hour, and then it was like, I fucking hate the script, but just go make the movie.
Ed Boon's always hated. He doesn't even want this new movie to be coming out. So I feel like he's always been cagey about things in general. So like you said, the whole production, they were finding roadblocks every which way, even from the original creators of the source material to different studios, and probably blocking their creative vision, doing all these testing audience and screeners and stuff like that. To be making a video game adaptation in 1995, I don't envy their position. But with what they had, they did a decent job. When I was watching the movie and there was, like a cheesy moment or something stupid, I didn't rage and be like, ugh, I love Mortal Kombat and you've ruined it. It was just kind of like, that was silly, but whatever. They're having fun. And if I don't take it too seriously, it's decent. Can't say the same about Mortal Kombat Annihilation. That's a whole other thing. But this first movie, it weak in parts, but it was fun. Like, people bash on Mortal Kombat a lot, I think, just because it's easy pickings.
I don't know,
Your
man.
soul is mine.
Oh, that's great.
Well, the cheesy one-liners here and there, it's campy, like we said. But hey, campy can be good sometimes.
I think that it really succeeded in being campy. I think that this is one of the few times Paul W.S. Anderson, his style worked really well. I think the casting was unbelievable. Liu Kang was great. Johnny Cage was great. Sonya, not bad. Kano was great.
I feel like Sonya is a lot of just the script. Shang Tsung is great.
Shang Tsung is so good. He takes all of these lines that could be so terrible, and he was unbelievable. Perfectly. And he was a fantastic physical performer as well.
Yep.
I thought, it's sloppy in parts. It is extremely cheesy. But I was
Looking
surprised
back 20
at how
years later, I give it the pass. I guess is where I look. I probably would have been more disappointed had I been sitting in the theater looking forward to it a lot, getting my hopes up, but kind of knowing what it was going in and having some childhood memories. I'm like, this is fine.
I saw it in theaters. It was amazing.
Sure. Okay. Look,
but I was probably like 9 years old, right? But I remember it being a really big deal.
Sure. And video game movies are still a big deal. Look at now. This weekend, Mortal Kombat, they're trying it again. And I guess this will be the litmus test of...
This one looks good from the trailer.
It's going to be definitely more serious. They're definitely digging deeper into the canon that they've established. I'm sure we'll do a video about the new movie. But Mortal Kombat 1995, I think it works. I think it's... Would you recommend it to people who... It was interesting watching it with my partner. She had never, apart from playing a few matches of Mortal Kombat, she didn't know anything about the characters. And this was a good way for her to learn, like, hey, a lot of Mortal Kombat is just, I like that ninja because he's that color, or I like this character because they have a cool thing. And it's just about having fun. Now that we're 11 games deep, there's a lot of lore we can cover. And it'll be interesting to see kind of which route they take with the new movie. But as it sits... Yeah, 1995, I would recommend to anybody who likes martial arts movies, or if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, even casually. I think it's a fun watch. Just don't go in expecting some 2015 big budget blockbuster. Like, you're going to have crappy CGI. You're going to have some one-liners that are like whatever, and some characters that kind of get thrown out. But like, for an hour and 40 minutes, they could have done a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sorry, go ahead.
It's a fun, it's a decently fun, cheesy with some interesting martial arts. It's a historic landmark of a movie. It was nobody thought it could happen. It was a success. It's still, I mean, there are still a challenge to adapt video games to movies. Like they're still really struggling with how to do
Look
it.
no further than Hitman, the two Hitman movies. Yeah,
even like Assassin's Creed was pretty mediocre, and
Prince of Persia.
Oh yeah,
go on for day.
Yeah.
Is it time for a whole retro review sequence of a series of every video game adaptation movie, Matt?
I have to rank them somehow.
Oh, but hey, maybe that'll be a video in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. That's me being cheesy.
I'd say this one is, I see when I was kind of looking around for reviews on YouTube, I see a lot of people being like, this is the best video game movie ever.
No, I'm going to come out right now and say Tomb Raider 2018. Like, that's how I feel. But we can. It's not a great movie. It's a revolution. It's probably the most important video game adaptation of all time. I would agree with you there.
And I was really pleasantly surprised that they like incorporated low kick sweeps and like Liu Kang's special bicycle kick, and
Johnny Cage did a flash kick at one point, and I was like, let's go. That's what I was looking for. Cool. I would have liked to see a iconic fatality or two. You got Scorpion did the toasty fatality, or at least tried to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were like working in the moves very well for the fight scenes.
Sonya did her leg grab throw, the crab throw.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Cage punched him in the balls.
I was very happy about Johnny Cage doing the nut punch to Goro, because even though it was played for laughs, it's like it's a funny moment that works, but it also is exactly how Mortal Kombat, the games, play it. It's a funny moment, but also it works because he's punching him in the nuts. Nut punches are funny. Yeah, Mortal Kombat 1995. I think people should watch it. I think it's worth a watch. I think it's a good time. If you're at home, you're thinking, I want to watch that new Mortal Kombat. Respect the roots. Go back, 1995. Watch your old boy Johnny Cage do some flash kicks and clicks, and then get stuck in the nether realm. I don't know. It's a good time.